right, so now we're going to talk about functions in this chapter. And the beginning is just really a lot of definitions. So first of all, a relation is just any ordered pairs. So any x and y is a relation. But a function is when each input has only one output. So every x has only one y. So you couldn't have like x equals 2 or 3. That would not be a function because x would have two outputs. So what are the following functions? So here, if you look at this one, well, this A only has one output. This B has only one output. This C has only one output. It's the same as B, but it still only has one. And D has only one output. So yes, this is a function. If you look at this one, well, A can be Q or A could be R. Well, if A has two things it could be, then it is not a function. When I have it listed in a table like this, the first thing I do is I look down and I see, is X repeated at all? Well, X is not repeated and there's only one output for each one of these X's, so this is a function. And here I have 3, 4, 5. Oh, 4 is repeated and it has two different outputs, so this is not a function. So the input or your X value is called the independent variable, and it's the value that can be changed. So you choose X. But the dependent variable or the output is what you calculate when you put it in. So for instance, if you think about this, if you have an equation y equals x plus 3, my independent variable would be x because I could choose an x here. I could say x equals 2, and then my dependent variable would be y because that's what I would solve for. Y equals 2 plus 3, or y equals 5. So y depends on x. Your input is your starting value or your x value. It is your independent variable. And the domain is the set of all your x inputs. So if I looked at this chart, my domain would be -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. My output is my resulting value. That would be my y value. It is my dependent variable, and the range is the set of all the output values. So again, in this case, my range would be 5, 3, 4, 7, 4. You don't have to list 4 twice because it's given here twice. So for instance, if I wanted to list my domain and range for this particular function here, I would say my domain is -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. That would be my domain. And for this function here, my range would be, I'll put them in order, but you don't necessarily have to. 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I have 4 listed here twice, but I'm not going to list it twice there. So your domain and range is really nothing more than a list of your X's or Y's. If you look down here on the bottom, it says, and I'm going to cover up the answers here, if you multiply the input by 7 and then subtract 30, is that a function? Well, all you have to ask yourself is, would I have more than one output? Well, if I take some number, 3, and multiply it by 7, I get 21, and then subtract 30, I still only get one number. So yes, that would be a function. If I take a look at the next one, if I square the input and that adds 6, would that be a function? Well, once again, if I took a number 2, for instance, I squared it, I'd get 4, and then add 6, I'd get 10, so I'd only have one answer. So yes, that would be a function. When x is input, the output is a fraction smaller than x. Well, there are lots of fractions smaller than x, so I could get more than one answer. So no, that is not a function. If I took the absolute value of the input and then multiply it by 623, well, there's only one absolute value of a number, and when I multiply it by 623, I'm only going to get one answer. So yes, that's a function. When the input is X, the output is either a positive or negative of X. Well, if I'm going to get a positive or negative, I'm going to get two answers. So no, that is not a function. If you have any questions, let me know.